In the misty, cobblestoned town of Lanos, the past was never truly gone. It was worn. Memories were not just fleeting thoughts, they were tangible threads woven into the fabric of everyday life. A baker's apron was warm with the memory of 1,000 successful loaves. A fisherman's sweater was imbued with the sharp, salty spray of his greatest catch. A simple scarf held the lingering feeling of a first shy kiss. The keepers of this magic were the memory weavers, and their shop, run by the elderly Master Thimble, was the heart of the town. With needles of silver and threads that shimmered with emotion, they didn't just mend clothes, they mended lives, restoring a faded memory with a careful stitch, securing a joyful moment with a well-placed patch. Ilara, Master Thimble's young apprentice, had a gift that was both a wonder and a weight. When she looked through the misty streets, she could see them. The Threadbare Ghosts. They were not frightening, but profoundly sad. Faint, translucent figures like smoke in the shape of a person, drifting aimlessly through the town. They were the forgotten ones, the spirits of those whose clothes, the very last vessel of their stories, had been utterly destroyed or thrown away. Lately, their numbers were growing. A new shop had opened in the square, selling cheap, brightly colored clothes that were made to be replaced, not mended. The age of disposability, as Master Thimble called it with a sigh, had arrived. The townsfolk, lured by the new and easy, began clearing out their attics. Old coats, frayed blankets, and worn-out dresses were discarded without a second thought. And with each discarded garment, a new, confused ghost would appear in the mist, its connection to the world severed. Ilara's heart ached for them. They would drift by her, their forms flickering, a constant, silent sigh of sorrow on the air. One ghost in particular caught her attention, a small, translucent boy in a faded cap who would often appear by the town well, his faint hand pointing toward the dark, tangled brambles at the edge of the woods, a look of desperate longing on his face. One morning, a flash of movement caught Ilara's eye. Frey, a mischievous magpie with a love for all things shiny, swooped down from the roof of the shop. It had been chattering at the little ghost boy all morning. Now it flew from the brambles with something glinting in its beak. It landed on a fence post, dropping its prize. It was a single, small, brass button shaped like a tiny anchor. Ilara approached it cautiously. As her fingers brushed against the cool metal, a jolt, warm and clear, shot through her. It was a memory, not a full story, but a fragment. The feeling of a mother's gentle hands sewing this very button onto her son's new coat. The air filled with the smell of sea salt and her quiet, hopeful hum. The memory was so strong, so full of love. She knew what she had to do. Back in the quiet workshop, she took a small square of sturdy dark blue wool. From Master Thimble's collection, she chose a spool of thread of empathy, a silver thread that shimmered with a soft, comforting light. With meticulous care, she began to sew the anchor button onto the square of wool. As she stitched, she focused on the feeling from the memory, the mother's love, the son's excitement, the promise of adventure. She wove the feeling itself into the fabric. When she was done, the small square of wool was no longer just cloth. It was a patch of remembrance, and it glowed with a gentle, warm light, pulsing with the rhythm of the memory it now held. That evening, Ilara took the patch to the town well. The little ghost boy was there, fainter than ever. She didn't approach him, but simply placed the glowing patch on the stone rim of the well. The little boy drifted closer, his form wavering. He hesitated, then reached out a translucent hand and touched the patch. The moment he did, the warm golden light flooded into him. For a single beautiful instant, he became solid, no longer a ghost, but a real boy in a coat with a shiny brass button. He smiled, a look of pure peace and recognition on his face. Then, with a final happy sigh, he dissolved, not into nothingness, but into a shimmer of warm golden light that floated up and vanished into the evening mist. He was remembered. He was at peace.
This became Alara's new secret work. She and Frey became an unlikely team of historians and detectives. The magpie, drawn to the lingering shine of memories, would lead her to a lost silver locket in the mud of the riverbank, a single elegant lace cuff tangled in a rosebush, or a forgotten military medal buried in a garden. Each time, Alara would take the fragment, seek out its story by talking to the town's oldest residents, and then lovingly weave its memory into a new patch of remembrance. She created a place for them on the wall of the workshop, a tapestry of shared lives. Soon, the wall was covered in glowing patches, each one telling the story of a forgotten soul. The townsfolk, coming in to have a simple tear mended, would see the tapestry and stop, mesmerized. An old woman saw a patch with a familiar hand-carved wooden bead and began to weep, telling the story of the brother she had lost to the sea 60 years ago. A young man recognized the pattern on a scrap of silk as the one from his great-grandmother's wedding kimono, a story he had only heard once. The tapestry was working its magic, not just on the ghosts, but on the living.
The river of cheap new clothes slowed to a trickle. People began digging through their own attics, not to throw things away, but to bring their family's heirlooms to Ilara and Master Thimble. "Can you mend this?" they would ask, holding up a grandfather's worn vest or a mother's faded apron. "I want to remember the story." The mist over Linos began to feel different. It was still a town of secrets and fog, but now the fog was lit by the gentle golden glow of 1,000 remembered lives. The Threadbare Ghosts were gone. Ilara, the memory weaver, had not just mended clothes. She had taught her town that the strongest threads in a community were not the new and perfect, but the old, the mended, and the lovingly remembered.